So, how's everybody doing tonight? I feel like I should put a hat on. Hang on. Hang on, we get a goddamn hat. Oh shit. What in the hell goes on in this life? Fucking sheet just fell down. My sheet fell down. My goddamn backdrop to my goddamn screen just fucking goddamn fell down. I can't find the goddamn tack to goddamn put it back up again, goddamn it. Wow. That is some shit right there. There's one of them. Oh, man. Oh, man alive. Well, if I could find my other tack, I would tack this back up. However, I don't think I can, so it's just gonna have to do. It's just gonna have to be fine for now. Yeah, whatever. Whatever, nobody's watching anyways. So anyway, my stream title is titled Exhaust a Muffler Story. So if you're tuning in right now and you want to see anything other than a guy telling a story, it's not going to happen. If you know, I'm in just chatting and I'm trying to just chat, and maybe somebody thinks it's interesting, maybe they don't, but I'm going to shoot the moon and see what happens. So I bought a car in 2016 from a dealership. Now, the dealership sells used cars. So the brand that I bought, it was a Hyundai. They don't sell Hyundai parts, but they sold used cars. So they supposedly put the car through its, rigorous inspection or whatever. And when I got it, I was pretty happy. Everything seemed to be working good, and the tire pressure monitor lights were on, but that's no big deal. So, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I had a problem with the exhaust, and I had a check engine light came on. So I had a little scanner, little cheapy Walmart scanner, and I put it on there, and I had to fix it. I had to go under the car to look at something, and my whole exhaust system, and this car is only a 2010, not the whole exhaust system, but the exhaust system from the front of the car to the middle of the car to where the catalytic converter hits was broken. And I'm just like, the old me would have said, I don't care, throw some tape on it. But lately, I try to be responsible and fix things. So I have a really good mechanic, and I made an appointment for next Wednesday. And he let me order the part online. So I ordered this big long exhaust pipe, and it's got on one end it's got 2 holes for bolts. So I just assumed that you would be putting bolts through those holes. So I figured, seeing as I bought the part and the gaskets, maybe I should get the bolts. So all last night, 3 o'clock in the morning, can't sleep. I want to know where these bolts are, because I want to make sure I get these bolts before Wednesday. Can't find them anywhere. So finally, I called the dealership. I called the Hyundai dealer right here in Queensbury, and they're great. And she's like, well, they don't make the bolts. The bolts are part of the manifold, which means the part that's on the car, it already has the studs built into the piece. So you really don't need to buy the bolts and the nuts. You just have to buy the nuts. I'm like, oh. So last night, I figured I'd take the car. I have ramps. So I drove the car up on the ramps, crawled underneath it, even though I didn't want to. And I have all my sockets. And I'm putting each one in trying to figure out the sizes of the bolts I need. I can do it based on the bolts I have, right? The sizes of the sockets. So I put one socket on there. It was 15, and I was like, all right, cool. That looks cool. 15, that's got to be it. And I looked down on the other end, and it looked like it was smaller. So I kept putting the sockets on there, and then I finally realized it's probably 10. So now this is screwing me up because I'm like, how can an exhaust system have two bolts that at the top that are different sizes from the ones on the other end? It doesn't make sense. So I call up Hyundai and I'm like, do you have these bolts? So they're like, we can't get the bolts. They're not, but we can get the nuts. And I'm like, all right, so do you have them? She's like, oh, I'd have to order them. So I'm like, great. So here I am all day. I haven't done really anything else but obsess about these fucking bolts when I should just let the mechanic deal with it, right? So I'm on the internet, I'm looking stuff up, looking it up. I found an official Hyundai parts website with a reference diagram, and it finally found a part number for the nut that I needed. Because after almost a day of I just wanted the internet to say, yes, that nut is 15 millimeters and the thread is this, and because I want to have the right one, right? So here's where it gets weird. I just got in for being under the car. Okay, I was just outside. It's getting dark. I had to come in. I had the car up on the ramps again for the second time. Okay, and I'm under there, and I'm trying to get one of the bolts loose because I figure if I get one of the bolts off, if Hyundai don't have it by Wednesday, I can at least like go to Napa or another hardware store or whatever and take this nut, and because they have little fitting things and you can put it on and figure out what the thread is. So I get one of them off with no problem. And the other one I can't get off. So I run back in the house. My landlord has these great tools. It's like a bolt extractor thing. And they're little sockets that have this weird like grabbing design inside of it. And it's good for strip bolts. So I finally figured out a way to get the other one off. And I'm like, well, these both look like the same size. And I looked on the other end, and there's no bolts. I mean, nuts. There's no nuts on the other end. And this is why I thought they were 10 millimeter. And they're actually not even there. There was so much rust on the bolts that it looked like there was a nut there. I took some PB plaster and I sprayed it on there, and like all the rust started to fall off, and I'm just like, oh my God. It's the good news. The good news is that I don't have to wrestle with two other bolts. But I'm kind of pissed off that like a dealership would sell a car to me and not know that two bolts are missing. Like, how hard would it have been to fucking just go get two bolts and put them on the thing before they sell the car? And it's funny, like, I used to know the mechanic. I used to work next to him. He was a bad drunk. And I'm thinking, like, that's probably why, because he probably looked at the car and said, fuck it, it's good enough, send it out. So on one hand, I'm pissed because they sold me a car that wasn't right. On the other hand, I'm not that mad. It's just It's scary to think that I've been driving around with this car with this fucking exhaust. The only thing that's holding it together is the rust. And I have to thank God for the rust, because if it wasn't for the rust, the pipe could have just snapped off while I was driving or hit a bump or something. So tomorrow's Sunday, so tomorrow I think I'm going to go back out, take the bolt off, maybe bring it to the hardware store, see if I can find 4 bolts. And I realized that if I don't have to take the 4 bolts off the back, which is why I needed a mechanic in the first place, there's only one thing stopping me from doing it myself. So I was watching some YouTube videos on how to repair like a rusty muffler thing, and they were talking about little air hammers. And they're cheap. I got a Harbor Freight tool place right up the street, and they're $13 for an air hammer. It's ridiculous. You basically put air in the bottom, and it's like a little gun, and you put it. There's a little chisel, and you put it in there and screw it on with a spring, and I can just hit the bolt with it, and that should loosen. There's one bolt. It's a 7/8 bolt, which is pretty big, that holds the O2 sensor for the car that sits in a muffler. That's like, they call it the downstream. If I can get that, and I sprayed it with PB Blaster tonight, and I'm not even a mechanic. I'm outside doing all the stuff today. If I can get that other nut to loosen up, and I can get that O2 sensor free, I'm just going to fix it myself tomorrow and cancel my appointment. But the whole thing has just been exhausting, because like I thought it was just going to be simple. So that's my story. And I can pay it forward now, because I can go on to the Hyundai forums, and anybody that has an accent that's looking for a bolt, I can tell them which ones it is. And tell them how hard it was for me to find the goddamn thing. I looked at, I don't know how many websites, and you'd think you could just put Hyundai accent muffler bolt, and there was nothing. Everything I found was like, this doesn't fit your car. This doesn't fit your car. And I'm like, well, what the fuck one does fit my car? Somebody gonna tell me, please? That's the one, 287/67, the 15 millimeter. I need 4 of them. And they say that, you know, if you can't get a bolt loose, you can heat it. I don't have a torch, but I'm just saying, if I can't get this other bolt off tomorrow, I will keep the appointment. But I literally could do it myself if I can get it off tomorrow. And I quit tonight because it hurts. Like I have no strength left. I'm like literally under the car with a big wrench, like, and I don't know which way to turn it. Like, usually mechanics do, like, you know, lefty loosey, righty tighty, right? And I'm like, I don't know which way it's going, because it's on the car like this, and I'm doing it up and down. So I guess literally, like, I guess lefty loosey would be that way. So maybe I gotta push it away from me. So I guess tomorrow I'm gonna let the PB. This is all stuff I learned on YouTube. So I'm gonna let the PB Blaster sit on the, loosen up the old rusty bolt overnight, and see if I can get it off. And if I can, this whole ordeal is gonna cost me, like, I think I paid $60 for a muffler pipe, and maybe $10 for the gaskets. $70. If I would have taken it to a mechanic and had them do it, I probably would have at least $100-something. So I love to save money, and I love to do it myself. But there's comes a point where the job is just too tough, and tomorrow I'm gonna decide if it's too tough or if I can do it. But I'm gonna try out my new air hammer tomorrow and just like and just beat the hell out of it with that thing and see if it loosens up at all. And there's actually other ways too. And the great thing is, I'm not keeping that pipe. So if I can somehow unhook the O2 sensor from the car, then I literally can like just take the front end out of the pipe at both sides and just kind of like turn it and take it out, and then I can put the old pipe in a vise and kind of do it that way. So that's what I've been doing. I haven't been streaming. I haven't been playing Rocket League. I haven't been playing Fortnite. I've been working on a damn car, which I actually enjoy. I won't say that I should have been a mechanic, but maybe I could have. But I'm sort of mechanically inclined, I guess. Does anybody want to comment on that? I mean, what would the topic be? Fixing your own car? Getting screwed by dealerships? That's like part of what I'm saying. Like, this whole thing probably wouldn't be happening right now if he would have put those 2 bolts on there. And then what I realized is if you have a car and you have, the thing I'm replacing is called the flex pipe. Okay, so like this, the flex pipe comes out of the manifold before it gets to the converter, and converters are expensive. So thank God I don't have to buy a converter, but the flex pipe somehow can get, this is why I'm replacing it, because like there's a flex pipe part of it that sometimes you can get at the auto parts place and just put that over the top of the old broken flex pipe. And I could have done that, except the way mine was broken, or it came out, there's these little arms, right? There's these little arms that hold the muffler in place. And they were snapped off. They were broke. So this thing was just like dangling under there pretty much. If it wasn't for the front bolts and the back bolts, rust on the thing, I probably would have just broke off. I mean, another thing to think about is, you know, where you live. If you live in see, I live in upstate New York, so there's a lot of salt. When it snows, and it snows pretty hard here sometimes, they throw the salt on the roads. So when they throw the salt on the roads, and then you drive in the salty roads, the snow gets up inside underneath the car, and that salt eats the cars quicker in a salted region than it would like in California, where it hardly ever snows, or Texas. So if people can afford it in upstate New York, excuse me, they should get their cars undercoated to fight against the salt. See, I didn't do that, and that's why my exhaust is all rusted out. But I'm lucky that it's only rusted and broken in the front half, because that's affordable for me. If it was the back half, oh my God. The catalytic converter alone could start at $125, and they go all the way up to $300 or $400. So I'm lucky in that sense. But the back end, that's reasonably expensive, but not nearly as much as the cat. So I forgot today was Saturday, and I was gonna go over and talk to the mechanic about the whole thing, and I was like, oh shit, he's not even there today. So I went to a card shop. I like baseball cards and football cards. I like to collect. And there's this guy, JB. It's called JB Cards. His name's Justin. Um, he owns a little shop. And if it wasn't for him, you'd hardly get cards anywhere in upstate New York because Walmart has like nothing sent to them. If they do, it's on a Friday and they're gone. So at least like you can go in this shop and like actually take your time looking at what you want to buy. Whereas you go in Walmart, it's in an aisle and you have to like shop and get out. You can't sit there and look because somebody's waiting in line to. It's a dumb place to put cards, if you ask me. I wish Walmart would ask me because I'd be like, that's a dumb place to put cards. But you can see I'm a New York Giants fan. I bought a bunch of New York Giants cards. I bought some Eli Manning and a couple. I think I got Michael Strahan. I bought some baseball too. I got a couple really nice Derek Jeter cards. And that was my day. Trying to fix a car and hanging out of a place that sells collectible cards. Tune in tomorrow. We can see whether I fix my car myself or if I'm going to take it to the mechanic. But I won't know. I won't know until tomorrow. I get to try out my new air hammer tomorrow. Oh yeah. And I bought a grinder too. When I was watching these guys show how to loosen bolts, I got excited because I was like, you know what? I need a grinder all of a sudden. And I'm not talking about a submarine sandwich. I mean, like something that literally you can plug a hose into and like the wheel spins around. And I have a buffer, and I thought the buffer would work, but it don't. And there's different kind of grinders. There's like straight up grinder where you grind what's in front of you, and then there's an angle grinder, which I figured I'd buy because I'm under the car, you know. So, and you got to buy the, what do they call them, the wire wheels. I bought a set of wire wheels. They're basically like stiff wired on a wheel, and you put it in the grinder, and then if you have rusty bolts like I do, you clean off all the rust with it. Wear a mask, goggles, and just be like, you know, rust, dust flying everywhere. Manly things. And then apparently you take the jacked air hammer to it and it loosens it up, breaks it up, makes it loose, and then it's easier to take off. So I'll be doing that tomorrow. It should be fun. If I had a garage, I would be doing it right now, but I don't. And it's funny, a couple of years ago I was going to open a detail business, and I was at this building, and it actually had a perfect place to do it. Wish I still had access to that place. It's basically had a pit in it, you know, like you drive the car over the top of the pit, and you could stand underneath the pit. I told the guy he should do like undercoating in there, and he's like, I'll do whatever I want when it's my place. I'm like, all right, hey, sorry. Yeah, so that's that. Exhaust, a muffler story. And it's, you know what, it's not even really the muffler that I was working on. It's more or less the pipe. The front pipe that comes out of the manifold. I don't know why they call it a flex pipe. I think because like when the car is riding down the road, like you might hit bumps now and then, and the exhaust can't be completely still because it would probably break. I think that's why they have those the arm on it with the little rubber grommet things that hold it, because it's supposed to be a little bit loose. So I think what happens is in the back end it has its suspension type of, kind of a free play. But in the front it needs it too, or it would just snap off. So I think that's what happened in my car. Like there's actually a flex pipe in the front. And the car's a 2010. It's been all over the place. So I'm sure over time that's what happened to it. The flex pipe actually broke. It's made of like little string fibers, and they're like interwoven crisscross pattern, and that's what holds it together. Well, because they're so thin, and because we live in the salt belt, imagine over time with moisture and that's what happened to it. I'm glad I caught it in time. I'm glad I had. So the moral of the story is sometimes you think something happens and you're like, oh, this is bad, but it ends up being good eventually. Because if my car didn't have the other problem, I wouldn't have gotten underneath it, and I wouldn't have saw that the muffler was an issue. I could have just driving around like that forever and not even known. But now that I know, I've jumped through the hoops, and I know what I need to do now. I know what I need to do. And if it wasn't, like I said, if it wasn't so late, I'd be doing it right now. I'd have that hammer out and just brrrr. When you grow up in my family and you make a sound like that, they want you to do it again. They'll go, well, how did that sound go? And you go, brrrr. Yeah. So I'm not going to drag this on. This story's over. The exhaust story. I hope it didn't exhaust you. Or maybe you learned something from it. Maybe you're not. I don't know. My bird looked like he was going to join us, but he didn't quite make it. He got halfway over and went the other way. I have a parakeet. I love it. We've bonded. We've gotten to the point now where I go to bed and I go, pretty bird. And he literally flies over and lands on my face. He was on my face last night. I'm not kidding. I made a video. I sent it to a couple of my friends. They're like, he's looking for millet in your mouth. Yeah, well, there ain't nothing in there. So what happens is birds, they have a beak and it's very sharp. If you're a good bird owner, you buy them a little stone, and they sit there with their beak and they sharpen their beaks because that's how they break seeds open and whatever else they eat. But the downside is that thing hurts. He was just on my shoulder earlier. I was sitting here just, hi birdie, everything was fine. Then he starts like nibbling at my neck, and I'm like, oh, how cute. And then all of a sudden he like pinched me, and I'm like, yeah, and he got mad and flew off. I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scare you, but that hurt. What do you want me to do, right? It's natural reaction. Grown ass man apologizing to a bird. I'm like, I'm sorry, bird, I'm sorry. He's just like, pfft. He's like, fuck you, I'm taking a nap. Leave me alone. Pretty bird. So I might stream a little later. I might do some more streaming, but I'm not gonna do any just chatting in real life streaming. It's gonna be like some games. I like games. I like games and music. That's my thing. I think before I go, I'll talk about music on Twitch. I'm old school. I came from the 80s. I like where musicians played their instruments. I have a hard time lately with new music. So I think when I go on Twitch and I look in the music categories, I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm very selective about who I watch. Um, and I think from now on I'm gonna try to promote other streamers and their music channels because I think that's just my opinion. I'm just one guy, but there's some good streamers out there, and one in particular that's noteworthy. Pardon the pun. It was a blues loop. It was the craziest and most beautiful thing I think I've ever seen. There's this one guy, and I have to find it because I don't want to have the wrong name. Let me find it. Let me find it. Eternal Blues. It's called. It's all one word. It's called Eternal Blues. Now, not everybody likes blues, but lately I've been really into it, and this guy had a great idea. He said, record a 30-second loop of yourself playing blues. And they provide like the track. All you have to do is watch the stream, and there's a 30, everyone gets 30 seconds, and he puts it in this like split yeah, split screen quadrant type of thing where there's a person in each corner, and they're all playing different instruments. It's the greatest thing. One guy's up in the corner playing the drums. Then there's a guy in the other corner playing the bass. And there's some singers that stop by, and there's some guitar players too. And I'm like, I'm gonna send mine in. I don't know if I do it maybe tonight or tomorrow. But basically all I have to do is just play the Twitch stream and play to it and record it. Like, I can, this thing I'm talking right now, I can record. So that's all I need to do. Have it playing in the background. And I'll play a little solo and say I'm Jeremy from United States. And they put you in this endless loop with all these other players from all around the world. There's people from Italy and Spain, and it's so cool to see like how different countries interpret the blues. Like there's female singers, there's guys that play the harmonica. It's just it's one of the coolest things I've seen. Eternal Blues on Twitch. That's my plug for you. And there was another one called I just joined. It's called Tulsa Livestream. And they find talent from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and the first guy that I saw was pretty talented, and he was doing originals. And most of my life I've played in cover bands, and I've wrote a few songs, but I guess if I was known for anything, I would want it to be originals more than covers. So to watch somebody play originals on Twitch is not only is exciting, but it's inspiring. So what I'm going to do from now on is when I go through my music on Twitch list, I'm going to make a list of people that I'm impressed with, and I'm going to promote them to anybody that's interested in my list. You can check them out or not. From now on, that's what I'm going to do. Because I noticed like Twitch is it's kind of set so that if you're at the top already, and the people are going to go to Twitch and it's going to say, hey, so and so's at the top because he's got, you know, just for an example, I'm looking at it right now, 302 viewers. So what happens is most everybody goes there. But what you don't realize is way down at the bottom, people like me that has 2 viewers right now, and there's people that are really trying to get noticed for what they do, and they're not because of the algorithms on Twitch keep it so certain people only get all the eyeballs, or the viewers, so to speak. So I feel like if I bring what I see as real talent to the light, maybe other people will go there too, and then they will rise and have more viewers, and they can, you know, their 15 minutes of fame, they can enjoy it. Or I'm just pipe dreaming, I don't know. But I think I'm gonna do that from now on. When I go live, I'm gonna go, here's my list for the week for music. And I'm gonna do Rocket League streamers, Rocket League players that I think are Smurfs. If you play Rocket League or you play video games, obviously if you're watching on Twitch, you probably know what the hell I'm talking about. People play the games and they're really ranked higher, but like something happened to their account, or they're trying to help their buddies rank up, so they come down, they get another account, and they go into the lower ranks, and they act like they're bronze players, but they're really like platinum, and they're higher, and it's really not fair when people are trying to rank up. They can't because somebody's pretty much cheating. So I was playing last night for a couple hours, really late. Hi, buddy. And I there were some guys you could just tell they weren't ranked as high as they were playing in a silver group, I guess. They do matchmaking where they put you in with people that are at your level. But if you're lying, you're really good, but they put you with the lower people, and then sometimes people think that you can't tell. But sometimes I can tell. And I'm going to call them out from now on. I'm going to make a list. When I play Rocket League, if somebody's looks like they're cheating, I'm going to write their name down, and I'm going to read the list off like once a week. Here's the Smurfs out there. We got to take the power back, you know what I mean? So anyway, that's that.
Alrighty then.
I feel like a creep sometimes because I talk and talk and people are watching, but no one says anything back. It's like, sometimes I think people stop by and they go, wow, they just want to watch a guy talk to himself. That turns them on or something. I don't want to talk anymore. I'm done. I'm done chatting. I'm done telling my story. This whole stream was just about me telling a story. And I've told it. And I've gotten no response from it. So why should I keep chatting if no one's chatting with me? I feel like the crazy guy at the diner who's eating, waiting for somebody to talk to him. What fun is that? That's not fun at all. So if nobody's going to say anything, then I'll just turn the shit right off. Not even hi. Not even hey, what's up? Nothing. Laughing like you.